So, it's Wednesday night. I woke up just a little over an hour ago. Had a half a sandwich. And now I'm pretty much bored out of myself because nothing I've tried has even remotely gotten me what I wanted. So I thought instead of doing another YouTube diatribe, I'm going to read a page or two from Mordecai Rickler's Barney's version. I've never read this before. In fact, up until I saw it at the book depository by Biscuits Of, I'd never even heard of it. It has a fascinating review on the back. Ebullient and perverse. Thrice married Barney Panofsky has always clung to two cherished beliefs. Life is absurd, and nobody truly ever understands anybody else. But when his sworn enemy publicly states that Barney is a wife abuser, an intellectual fraud, and probably a murderer, he is driven to write his own memoirs. Charged with comic energy and a wicked disregard for any pieties whatsoever, Barney's version is a brilliant portrait of a man whom Mordecai Rickler has made uniquely memorable for all time. It is also an unforgettable love story, a story about family and the riches of friendship. Sold me. It's winner of the Stephen Leacock Award for Humor and the 1998 Commonwealth Writers' Prize for Best Book. Shall we begin? With footnotes and an afterword by Michael Panofsky. Never heard of him. I have heard of Mordecai Rickler, Jacob Tutu. There was one, maybe a few books. For Florence, in memory of four absent friends, Jack Clayton, Ted Allen, Tony Godwin, and Ian Mayer. Barney's version. 1. Clara, 1950 to 1952. Terry's the spur, the splinter under my fingernail. To come clean, I'm starting on this shambles that is the true story of my wasted life, violating a solemn pledge, scribbling a first book at my advanced age as a riposte to the scurrilous charges Terry McIver has made in his forthcoming autobiography about me, my three wives, aka Barney Panofsky's Troika, the nature of my friendship with Boogie, and of course, the scandal I will carry to my grave like a humpback. Terry's sound of two hands clapping, of time and fevers, will shortly be launched by the group. Sorry, the group. Lowercase. A government-subsidized small press rooted in Toronto that also publishes a monthly journal, The Good Earth, printed on recycled paper. You bet your life. Terry McIver and I, both Montrealers born and bred, were in Paris together in the early 50s. Poor Terry was no more than tolerated by my bunch, pride of impecunious. No idea what that word means. Horny young writers, awash in rejection slips, yet ostensibly confident that everything was possible. Fame, adoring bimbos, and fortune lying in wait around the corner. Just like that legendary Wrigley's shill of my boyhood. The shill, according to report, would surprise you on the street to reward you with a crisp new dollar bill, provided you had a Wrigley's chewing gum wrapper in your pocket. Mr. Wrigley's big giver never caught up with me, but fame did find several of my bunch. The driven Leo Bishinsky, Cedric Richardson, albeit under another name, and of course, Clara. Clara, who now enjoys posthumous fame as a feminist icon, beaten on the anvil of male chauvinist insensits. My anvil, so they say. I was an anomaly. No, an anonymity. A natural-born entrepreneur. I hadn't won awards at McGill like Terry, or been to Harvard or Columbia like some of the others. I had barely squeezed through high school, having invested more time at the tables of the Mont Royal Billiards Academy than in classes, playing snooker with Duddy Kravitz. Couldn't write, didn't paint, had no artistic pretensions whatsoever, unless you count my fantasy of becoming a music hall song and dance man, tipping my straw boater to the good folks in the balcony as I fluttered off stage in my taps, yielding to Peaches, Anne Corio, Lily St. Cyr, or some other exotic dancer who would bring her act to a drum-throbbing climax with a thrilling flash of bare tit in days long before lap dancers had become the norm in Montreal. There's a footnote here that choreo is the correct spelling of is choreo as opposed to Corio, Coreo. I was a voracious reader, but you would be mistaken if you took that as evidence of my quality or sensibility. At bottom, I am obliged to acknowledge with a nod to Clara the baseness of my soul, my ugly competitive nature. What got me started was not Tolstoy's The Death of Ivan Ilyich or Conrad's The Secret Agent, but the old Liberty magazine, which prefaced each of his articles with a headnote saying how long it would take to read it, say 5 minutes and 35 seconds. Setting my Mickey Mouse wristwatch on our kitchen table with the checkered oilcloth, I would zip through the piece in question in, say, 4 minutes and 3 seconds, and consider myself an intellectual. From Liberty, I graduated to a paperback John Marcon Mr. Moto novel, selling for 25 cents at the time in Jack and Moe's barbershop, corner of Park Avenue and Laurier, in the heart of Montreal's old working class Jewish quarter, where I was raised. A neighborhood that had elected the only communist, Fred Rose, ever to serve as a member of parliament, produced a couple of decent club fighters, Louis, Alter, Maxie Berger, the obligatory number of doctors and dentists, a celebrated gambler come casino owner, more cutthroat lawyers than needed, sundry school teachers, and schmata millionaires, a few rabbis, and at least one suspected murderer. Me. I remember snowbanks 5 feet high, winding outside staircases that had to be shoveled in the sub-zero cold, and days long before snow tires, the rattle of passing cars and trucks, their wheels encased in chains, sheets frozen rock hard on backyard clotheslines. In my bedroom, where the radiator sizzled and knocked through the night, I eventually stumbled on Hemingway, Fitzgerald Joyce, Gertie and Alice, as well as our own Morley Callaghan. I came of age envying their expatriate adventures, and as a consequence made a serious decision in 1950. 1950. That was the last year Bill Durnan, 5 times winner of the Vezina Trophy, best goalie in the National Hockey League, would mind the nets for my beloved Montreal Canadiens. In 1950, New Glorieux could already deploy a formidable defense corps, its mainstay young Doug Harvey. The punchline was then only 2/3 intact, in the absence of Hector Toe Blake, who retired in 1948. Maurice the Rocket Richard and Elmer Locke were skating on a line with Floyd Busher Curry. They finished second to bloody Detroit in the regular season, and to their everlasting shame went down 4-1 to the New York Rangers in the Stanley Cup semifinals. At least the Rocket enjoyed a decent year, finishing the regular season second in the individual scoring race with 43 goals and 22 assists. Anyway, in 1950, at the age of 22, I left the chorus girl I was living with in a basement flat on Tupper Street. I withdrew my modest stash from the city and district savings bank, money I had earned as a waiter at the old Normandy Roof, a job arranged by my father, Detective Inspector Izzy Panofsky, and booked passage to Europe on the Queen Elizabeth, sailing out of New York. There's 2 footnotes. One, it appears, is on Rocket Richard, but I don't see the... here we go. Actually, Rocket finished 4th in the scoring race. Ted Lindsay of the Detroit Red Wings won the title with 23 goals and 55 assists. Sid Abel came 2nd, Gordie Howe 3rd, and then Richard. And there's a note here about the Queen Elizabeth. It was the Queen Mary which made its last voyage in 1967, encountering the Queen Elizabeth at sea at 12:10 a.m. on September 25th, 1967. Okay, I'm stopping there. I hope this was relatively enjoyable.